Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching once again. I've posted a couple of videos on this topic already. I'll put them in a pinned comment, but there's just so much material here to cover about how Muhammad was a prophet unlike Moses. Now, of course, this myth that Muhammad was the prophet in Deuteronomy 18 is advanced by such dim bulbs as, you guessed it, Zakir Naik.
In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 18, verse number 18, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 18, verse number 19, all these references are talking about no one but Prophet Muhammad.
All right, and in this video, we're going to cover 5 more ways in which Muhammad was a prophet unlike Moses. Number 1, bells. Now, we all know from the Hadith that Muhammad thought that bells were the instruments of Satan. Now, the real story behind this is Muhammad didn't want to be like the Christians, and Christians use bells. But Muhammad didn't just want to say, don't use bells, because that seems kind of arbitrary. He needs a better reason to prohibit his followers from using bells. So he came up with, they're an instrument of Satan. Now, the God of Moses apparently didn't know that bells were the instruments of Satan, because in Exodus, when we find Moses being given instructions about how to build the tent of meeting and how to fashion the priestly garments, we find Moses being commanded by God to sew bells on the priestly garments. So, according to Muhammad, they're an instrument of Satan. According to the God of Moses, you're supposed to fasten these things onto the holiest of garments in ancient Israelite religion. Seems to be a disconnect there. But what do we actually have here? I'm going to suggest that we have a miracle. You see, Muhammad wasn't really talking about bells, and he wasn't really talking about Satan. What he was doing was making a prophecy, and here is the miracle. Muhammad was prophesying not about bells and Satan, but about the 1980 album by the world-famous rock band AC/DC. What is the number 1 track on that album? You guessed it, Hell's Bells. And remember, music is haram. Number 2, Moses intercedes numerous times for his people, for the Jews, for Israel. They deserve God's judgment. They rebelled over and over and over, and yet Moses has put an intercessory role, a priestly role for the Jews, and he asks for their forgiveness and for God's mercy. Muhammad, not so much. Not so much. Muhammad wanted them expelled from the Arabian Peninsula and had this eschatological vision where they were all killed, even the ones that were hiding behind rocks and trees. You know, the rocks and trees cry out, hey, Muslim, come kill this Jew who's hiding behind me. But it didn't stop there. Muhammad didn't just want the Jews killed. He wanted the animals that the Jews were transformed into killed as well, which is why you get even more points if you kill a gecko with 1 blow. Now, here in the United States, we have a major insurance company called Geico, and their motto is a gecko. What we have here is another miracle of Muhammad. He was forecasting that the Jews would be behind the scenes, pulling the strings like master puppeteers, which is what many Muslims suspect anyway. Everything is the fault of the Jews. The Jews are behind everything, and here we have the Jews controlling major companies right here in the U.S. Do you see the connection? Geckos, 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 and that's why you get more points by killing a gecko in 1 blow. Number 3, getting to the serious stuff. God spoke to Moses on God's terms. God told Moses how to construct the tent of meeting. God told Moses how to approach and to ascend Mount Sinai. This was under God's instruction. God would reveal himself to Moses when and where he chose. In Islamic theology, it's a little bit different. The revelations of Allah are more contingent on, shall we say, personal matters. How was Muhammad supposed to solve this problem of the marital strife that he was constantly having to deal with among all his wives who were separated in groups? Some he would sleep with, some he wouldn't, some he slept with more than others, and they're arguing amongst each other, and he's always dealing with this issue of jealousy, and Aisha was his favorite wife, and that's who his other wives were most jealous of. How can he vindicate himself? How can he validate this extra close relationship with the young Aisha? He found a way. The revelations of Allah only came to Muhammad when he was under the garments of, you guessed it, Aisha. Muhammad needed some sort of divine approval for this relationship with Aisha, and so he said Allah's revelations were contingent on this. Imagine that, the revelations of the God of Islam contingent on something, contingent about what woman you happen to be sleeping with at the time. How could Allah's revelations be so contingent on such a self-serving set of circumstances? Number 4, God talked directly to Moses numerous times. This is obviously not the case with Muhammad. Muhammad claimed to be addressed by an angelic being in a cave, and that angelic being didn't even identify itself. Muhammad had to rely on his friends and family to tell him who the angel supposedly was, if it even was an angel. God talked directly to Moses, not even close with Muhammad. Number 5, Muhammad's God is impersonal. Muhammad's God knows nothing of a personal, caring, close relationship with his people. This is very different from the God of Moses. Moses knew about a God who dwelled with his people. This is the story, indeed, of the Bible from start to finish, God dwelling with his people. It's all through the Torah. It's all through the prophets, even through Revelation. And it's even true with individual persons of the Trinity. In the Old Testament, God dwells with his people. In the New Testament, the Word became flesh and dwelled among us in Jesus Christ. And then the Spirit of God dwells both in the church as well as within the body of individual believers. God dwells with his people according to biblical theology. The God of Islam knows nothing of any sort of personal, loving relationship with his creation. And those are 5 more reasons that Muhammad was a prophet, unlike Moses. Thanks so much for watching.